Ahoy there, mateys! I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now today, we're going to return to the classical Disneyland ride, which just happened to reach its 55th anniversary this year, Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I know it's been about 5 years since I blogged the 5th Pirates movie, Dead Men Tell No Tales, which in my opinion is a great movie, especially with the addition of new characters like Karina and Henry. Also, last year I included the ride on my top 15 Disneyland attractions, despite the fact that I didn't really like it during my early childhood. Not only because of the 2 waterfalls at the beginning, which, believe it or not, frightened me, but also because of a certain pirate making the creepiest and uncomfortable sound ever. Yee! And believe me when I say that I was introduced to that moment while watching the Hi-Ho Disney Sing-Along VHS. But during the early to mid-2000s, my feelings for the ride have deeply improved thanks to not only a few new additions, but also because of a certain rip-roaring movie where the Disney Pirates franchise began. And that's the movie that I'll be blogging today. Released on July 9th, 2003, the movie is Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. And now, let's set sail. Captain Jack Sparrow arrives in Port Royal in the Caribbean without a ship or a crew. His timing is inopportune, however, because later that evening, the town is being besieged by a pirate ship known as the Black Pearl. The pirates kidnap the governor's daughter, Elizabeth Swann, who's in possession of a valuable medallion that is linked to an ancient curse that has transformed the pirates into undead, immortal skeletons. That is, unless all the medallions are returned to the chest where they came from and a blood sacrifice is made. Will Turner, a gallant young blacksmith, teams up with Sparrow in pursuit of the pirates to rescue Elizabeth and retrieve the Black Pearl. Now, what do I think of the film? Well, in my opinion, this movie really was an absolute blast, even to this very day. And to further explain why I love this movie, let's move on to Mustang notes. The movie was directed by Gore Verbinski, who had also directed Mouse Hunt, Rango, The Lone Ranger, along with the second and third Pirates movies. In 2001, Walt Disney Pictures had Jay Wahlberg, who passed away about 7 months ago, write a script, which was based on a story created by executives Brigham Taylor, Michael Haynes, and Josh Harmon. But then in March 2002, Stuart Beattie was brought in to rewrite the script because of his knowledge of piracy. Around that period, producer Jerry Bruckheimer became involved with the project. He had Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, whom both worked on DreamWorks' Road to El Dorado, work on the script, adding the plot device of a supernatural curse to the story in order to bring it in line with the original theme park attraction. Filming took place from October 2002 to March 2003 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and on sets constructed around Los Angeles, California, with the Port Royal Fortress, Fort Charles, being built on the 3-acre bluff on the Palos Verdes Peninsula, and Governor Swann's mansion being built on Manhattan Beach. Plus, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, was the very first Disney film to be rated PG-13 by the MPAA. And after its theatrical release, the movie was a huge box office success, grossing approximately $654.3 million worldwide, making it the 4th highest grossing movie of 2003. Plus, the movie influenced a level in Kingdom Hearts 2, where Sora, Donald, and Goofy assist Jack Sparrow, Will, and Elizabeth in defeating Barbossa, breaking the curse, retrieving the Black Pearl, and preventing the Heartless and Organization 13 from causing trouble. Now, before we continue, I want to let everybody watching know that Pirates of the Caribbean was the third movie that I watched at the El Capitan Theater in Los Angeles. The previous two being 101 Dalmatians from 1996 and Disney's Tarzan. And after Pirates, I saw Brother Bear, Around the World in 80 Days, A Christmas Carol, and just recently, Lightyear. Also, I need to remind everybody watching that Pirates is actually the fourth movie based on a Disney theme park attraction. The previous three being Tower of Terror, Mission to Mars, and The Country Bears. Also to mention, Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't the first PG-13 movie that I've watched back then. I mean, from what I can remember, I've seen a couple movies like Small Soldiers on VHS and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and of course the James Bond movie Die Another Day in theaters. Also, can you believe that I was actually 2 months away from turning 13 when Pirates was theatrically released? Anyway, my favorite part regarding my experience at the El Capitan Theater was, surprisingly, the intro provided by Captain X, the talking skull from the ride, welcoming the entire audience to the movie before the torn up British flag curtain opens up and the movie begins. But unfortunately without the Walt Disney Pictures or Jerry Bruckheimer Productions logo. As for the movie itself, to this very day, I think it has a very mysterious, haunting, and thrilling feel to it, especially due to the plot centering on an ancient curse regarding 881 pirate medallions, which came from a treasure of Hernan Cortez on the hidden Isla de Muerta. These medallions were a payment to stop a massacre against the Aztecs, but Cortez, being too greedy, rejected it, and the Aztec gods put a curse on the treasure where any mortal who dares remove a single piece from the stone chest shall become immortal and are revealed as undead skeletons in the moonlight. Spooky, huh? By the way, the skeleton pirate visuals were provided by George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic, where each scene featuring them was shot twice. The first shot was where a reference played with the actors and without them to add in the skeletons, and the second shot was where the actors had to perform their scenes again on the motion capture stage. Also, I like that the movie's story is mainly set in 1728. I like the three ships featured in this movie, like the HMS Dauntless, the Interceptor, and of course the titular Black Pearl, and I like the several locations like Port Royal, Jamaica, which to me looks like a peaceful little town until the scene where the Black Pearl attacks, the dreaded Isla de Muerta, which to me is a haunting looking island due to it being shaped like a skull, and the fact that it's an island that cannot be found except for those who already know where it is. Then there's the island of Tortuga, which is a ramshackle haven for pirates, rogues, scoundrels, outlaws, and sailors in the Caribbean. And lastly, there's Rum Runner's Isle, where Jack Sparrow was marooned for 3 days following his first mutiny until he was given passage by the Rum Runners. Also, aside from the Black Pearl attacking Port Royal, I've noticed several other references from the ride featured throughout the movie. For example, there's the dog with keys in the Port Royal jail scenes. Plus, I was really surprised that the classic Yo Ho, A Pirate's Life for Me song was featured. I mean, it wouldn't be Pirates of the Caribbean without it. Also, I thought the movie's sea battles, sword fighting, and stunts are really cool, comedic, and action-packed. One of my favorite stunts being the underwater boat scene, and there were also a few other scenes like where the undead pirates were walking underwater, which brings back memories from some concept art that I've seen on Disney's website a few years ago. And now, let's move on to the cast. Our main character, Captain Jack Sparrow, is played by Johnny Depp. best known from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, Finding Neverland, Sherlock Gnomes, Into the Woods, the Fantastic Beasts movies, and several Tim Burton movies. Now, ever since 2003, I thought Jack Sparrow was a really awesome pirate, and I think Johnny Depp really nails this role while giving him a humorous and eccentric personality. And I really love his slightly drunken swagger, slurred speech, and awkwardly flailing hand gestures. Plus, I think Jack has been going through a lot after getting mutinied and marooned, and he's determined to getting his ship back no matter what happens. Plus, I don't know about you, but I think the part where Jack becomes cursed was both clever and pretty cool. Also, I think he's a pretty good party member while joining forces with Sora during Kingdom Hearts 2. Plus, I'm really happy that Johnny has been freed from his trial against Amber Heard a couple months ago. Next up is Will Turner, played by Orlando Bloom, best known from Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings / Hobbit trilogies, along with Troy and Elizabethtown. Now, Will is a blacksmith's apprentice whom, 8 years prior, was rescued by the HMS Dauntless after he was attacked by pirates while sailing from England searching for his father, Bootstrap Bill. Prior to all that, he received a gold medallion, which Will thought was just an exotic trinket that his father had picked up on his travels. In my opinion, Will is a very courageous man, which is shown prominently when he threatens to sacrifice himself. In other words, Will is willing to do anything, even die, to save Elizabeth. Also, I think Will and Jack make a pretty good team, and I also like that Will learns to embrace his pirate heritage. Heck, even Will's sword fighting skills is pretty good due to him practicing 3 hours each day. Next we have Elizabeth Swann, played by Keira Knightley, whom I remember from Star Wars Episode 1, Princess of Thieves, King Arthur, Pride and Prejudice, and The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. In my eyes, Elizabeth is a spirited and independent-minded young lady. Ever since she was little, Elizabeth has always been fascinated by piracy and life at sea. In fact, she's the first character in the franchise to sing the classic Yo-Ho song. But she is also revolted by pirates' aggressiveness and wild nature, especially when she met Jack Sparrow, who saved her from drowning and suffocating from a tight corset. Plus, Elizabeth thinks very logically and is at first skeptical of Barbossa when he first tells her about the pirate's curse. Also, I like that Elizabeth has a very strong intellect, as well as loyalty and compassion for her loved ones. But still, I don't think it was very smart of her to lie to Barbossa that her name was Turner and that she was a maid in the governor's household. Next is Jack's mutinous first mate and the movie's main villain, Captain Hector Barbossa, played by Jeffrey Rush, whom was in Pixar's Finding Nemo, the 1998 film adaptation of Les Miserables, and Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. In my eyes, during this movie, Barbossa is a ruthless pirate who has no regard for anyone's life, as well as the lives of his crewmates. Also, I thought he was evil enough when he mutinied and marooned Jack Sparrow and attacked Port Royal. However, at the very same time, he's very understandable due to the fact that he and his crew have been cursed for an entire decade and will do anything to be freed from said curse, even if it means to kill anyone who stands in his way. Also, during Kingdom Hearts 2, I thought it was pretty interesting that Pete and the Heartless joined forces with Barbossa, and only Sora's magical abilities can hurt him and his crew when their cursed forms are exposed under the moonlight. Plus, I thought that Barbossa is a very confident and persuasive trickster, and I also like that he becomes an ally in the sequels. Also, I think Barbossa's pet monkey, who's also named Jack, is a very sneaky little guy, despite his rotten temper, and I think he looks really freaky in his skeleton form. Next we come to the incompetent villainous sidekick duo, Pintel and Ragetti, played by Lee Ehrenberg and Mackenzie Crook. Pintel is the guy who has a scowled face, while Ragetti is the guy with a wooden eye. To me, not only are these guys incompetent, but they're also oafish. But on the other hand, they have a tendency to engage in intelligent discussions. During this movie, they invade the governor's mansion and kidnap Elizabeth due to them believing her to be Bootstrap Bill's child. But after Barbossa failed to lift the curse with Elizabeth's blood, Pintel and Ragetti were blamed for their misfortune. Anyway, aside from that big mistake, I kind of like the part where they tell Will about his father and what Barbossa did to him, which to me gives Bootstrap nice character development before we later see him in the following two sequels. And I thought it was pretty silly when Pintel and Ragetti were forced to dress in women's clothing in order to create a diversion while the rest of the cursed crew walk underwater to the Dauntless. Next we come to Jack's longtime friend and first mate, Joshumi Gibbs, played by Kevin Mcnally, who not only reprised his role in Kingdom Hearts 3, but also played Joseph Bouquet in the 2004 Phantom of the Opera movie. In the beginning of the film, Gibbs was first seen as a Royal Navy warrant officer aboard the HMS Dauntless. But sometime over the following 8 years, Gibbs either left or was expelled from the Royal Navy, and despite his initial dread of pirates, he became good friends with the Black Pearl's former captain, Jack Sparrow. In my eyes, Gibbs is one of my favorite characters in this film series due to him being a generally knowledgeable person who often provides the movie's cast as well as the audience with background information. However, he is deeply superstitious and he makes frequent references to various cases of bad luck. And he's also very fond of his rum, which he drinks from his leather flask. Also to note, the scene where Jack and Will find Gibbs sleeping with pigs in Tortuga is a reference to a pirate from the Disneyland ride named Scalawag, and in my opinion, it is one of the funniest moments due to them splashing Gibbs with water twice. Unfortunately, nowadays, I find it very disappointing that Sora, Donald, and Goofy never met Gibbs during their first adventure in the Caribbean in Kingdom Hearts 2, and they had to wait till Kingdom Hearts 3 to meet him. Our next character is Commodore James Norrington, played by Jack Davenport. Norrington is an officer of the British Royal Navy who owed his allegiance to King George II. Over the years, Norrington would achieve many ranks while serving as a British naval officer in the Royal Navy, while at the same time becoming the scourge of piracy in the Eastern Caribbean. In my eyes, Norrington is a strict and loyal man, and he takes pride in his service to others before himself, showing a strong dedication to the law. He also hopes to marry Elizabeth Swann, and he believes that Jack Sparrow is the worst pirate ever after examining his pistol, his compass, and his sword, and he hopes to have Jack hanged for piracy. Also to mention, despite not making a physical appearance, Norrington is briefly mentioned in Kingdom Hearts 2 on a note that Sora finds on one of the cannons at the Port Royal Fort. Finally, we have Elizabeth's father, Governor Weatherby Swann, played by Jonathan Pryce, whom was in Something Wicked This Way Comes, Evita, the James Bond movie Tomorrow Never Dies, What a Girl Wants, and The Man Who Invented Christmas. To me, Governor Swann is a proud official of the British colony at Port Royal, on the vibrant and prosperous island of Jamaica. Plus, I think Governor Swann is a charming and polite man, but he doesn't really have the skill to govern his rebellious daughter. Also, throughout this movie, he wishes for Elizabeth to accept Commodore Norrington's marriage proposal. However, he eventually comes to accept that she truly loves Will Turner. Also, Governor Swann is another character who doesn't make a physical appearance in the Kingdom Hearts games, but he is mentioned in one of Jiminy Cricket's journal entries. Other members of the cast include Zoe Saldana as Anna Maria, David Bailey as the mute pirate Cotton with a talking parrot, Michael Berry Jr. as Twig, Vince Lozano as Jacoby, and Isaac C. Singleton Jr. as Barbossa's first mate, Bosun. And now on to my final words. Overall, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl is a really awesome movie. The writing is rip-roaring, thrilling, and haunting. The Easter eggs that reference the original Disneyland ride are cleverly used. The cinematography and visuals are awesome. The acting is great. The musical score by Klaus Badelt and Hans Zimmer are classical. The action and stunts are comedic and fun, and the characters are absolutely unforgettable. If anyone would love to have a rip-roaring good time, go watch this movie. But I wouldn't really recommend it for anyone under the age of 13, though. As for my rating, I'll give it a full 100%. And in case you're wondering, I will blog the other 3 Pirates of the Caribbean movies soon. Maybe next year. But anyway, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog, where we look at Sony's first animated surfing movie, Mustang Power.